Hello again, whiskey friends. Yeah, thanks for joining everybody. And here we are, porch drinking yet again. Love drinking out on the porch. Do it as much in the fall as I can. And today, we got a good fall whiskey here as we round into the season. We are going to be talking about this sexy bottle. Oh my gosh, this is sexy. Man, it even makes me look sexy through the reflection there. This is a Frank August here, and we're going to get all into this one as we break it down. This is one that I've heard a lot about from various sources. And ultimately, I kind of just love the bottle. Just did a video recently on if I get caught into marketing, hook, line, and sinker. But let's go into what is inside the glass. Thank you for joining me today, whiskey friends. Let's kick off the show. All right, let's open this up. Let's get a pour in here. Let it open up just a little bit as we talk about what is inside here. Now, first off, I mentioned off the top the bottle of this thing. I mean, this thing is gorgeous. I especially love this gap here between the cork and the bottle. I have never seen a bottle or a cork shape like that before. And the weight of this thing is like old school Bardstown Discovery. I mean, this is thick, this is heavy. And then another cool feature of this bottle, and this will be the last time I talk about the bottle, you can actually take off all these labels pretty easily. And then you just got like a nice decanter. So I'll be using this for something later, man. Probably some olive oil, but we'll see. Now, the bourbon inside this is a small batch bourbon. It is 100 proof. On the back here, it does say Bardstown, Kentucky as the source. Now, technically, it says bottled by Frank August, and then it says Bardstown, Kentucky. It says distilled and aged in Kentucky, but Bardstown, Kentucky is kind of a different statement there, if you see that. So that is kind of interesting. I wonder if it's actually from Bardstown. You know, they're not making this themselves. This is a source product. But we'll get into what I think about it here. You know, maybe I'm keying in too much on that Bardstown thing, but you'll get my thought process as we get through this. But pretty excited to get into this bottle. Heard a lot about it over the last year. Heard mixed things actually, but I've heard really good things from people's whose palate I trust as well. So it's gone back and forth on whether I'm going to buy this or not. I got it from my local shop for $65 in Northern Kentucky. So this was $65. Quite frankly, the bottle itself was $20 of that, but we'll get into it. So let's get into the whiskey. We're going to break down the nose, the palate, and then we'll get into the final scores. Thanks for joining me today, whiskey friends. Cheers, everybody. I mean, all in all, on this one, perfectly inviting bourbon nose. Um, Mainly going to lean apple flavors, maybe spiced pear. The spices are this like mixture of cinnamon and clove. There's a little bit of vanilla extract. The barrel comes through as almost a clean cedar. If you had one of those cedar planks and you're about to smoke some meat on it, but before you get to that smoking part, obviously. And then there's a bit of a sea salt caramel. So when it comes to bourbon flavors, I mean, just everything is inviting. It's not too complex. It's not too in your face at 100 proof. Let's go in for a taste. You know, I realize I'm using the Marty Glen on this one, so I can't show you how oily it is. Being it's 100 proof, it's actually got some nice viscosity to it and a very, very good mouthfeel. A better mouthfeel than you would expect based on the proof. Up front, though, it is a bit faint. A little bit of the apple, a little bit of the cinnamon, a little bit of the brown sugar comes through, but initially, very, very faint. Let's get into mid palate. Mid palate, man, those apples really, really take off. The oak picks up as well, more along a cedar when I do say oak on this one. Then the vanilla comes through, the cinnamon comes through. There's even like a hint of cherry. Let's get into the finish. Same flavors are there: apple, cinnamon, bit of clove, that cedar, hint of cherry. And that's essentially it. So everything you say is immediately inviting. This is one that I would put head to head as an example against E.H. Taylor small batch. If I were to do that, now that's 50 at retail compared to this 65, but that's something that I would compare this to if I were doing it in a blind and talking about the taste profile off memory. The one thing that this did do to me, and this will play into the final scores, it says Bardstown, Kentucky. I don't know if that actually means it was distilled in Bardstown, Kentucky. What this hits me like is a 1792 bottled in bond. That was the first thing that came to mind the first time I sipped it, and that is what has come to mind every tasting thereafter as I get past the shoulder on this thing. I keep thinking of 1792 bottled in bond. So pure speculation on my part, but I don't have one right now either to compare to. Otherwise, that's actually driving me crazy. I don't have one on the bar right now to compare to. But as you can kind of hear in my voice, you can kind of hear what's going to happen to that value score here. When we're talking about a $65 bottle that I'm comparing to 1792 bottle and bond, that's typically $40. So let's get into the scores here. Enough talking about them without them being on the screen. I like the flavors of this thing. So when we're looking at the flavor score here, and keep in mind here on the channel, we do break things down into 3 categories, though there's a whole bunch of metrics that feed into these: flavor score, experience score, value score. Flavor score is just how delicious it is. Man, these flavors are really good. I pretty much just gave them mostly 8s and 7s throughout. Perfectly inviting, perfectly pleasant. I'd give this to people to even introduce them to bourbon. If they're a few glasses in, they can handle the 100 proof. This is a good whiskey for that purpose. I can see myself doing that, on a Saturday night and just pounding the crap out of it, by the way. Then on the experience score, as you heard me say, like, this isn't something that's complex. We're just talking about apples mixed with caramel and oak and sea salt caramel and a little bit of cherry here. But for the most part, I mean, this is just straight down the middle. No surprises, no veering off path of what expected. It's just like, this is what bourbon is, and we'll keep it right there. But then the value score, it was $65. Hey, get it down to 50. That value score would come up, gives it a few more points. At the same time, I mean, the bottle in itself is a decanter, as I was saying, and I'm going to be using it probably for some time. The cork is awesome. The design's cool. I really, really like the bottle. So I pretty much just justifying in my head that I paid for $45 to $50 bourbon and then got a cool bottle out of it. So maybe if that were to come into play in the value score, it would add a few points as well. So you interpret that as you will. Would I recommend it? I'm going to give this one just a 6 out of 10. I think you're better off with a 1792 bottle and bond for a cheaper price. Cool bottle, though. If you want the bottle, that's for the 6 of you that I recommended it to out of the 10 people. Do I plan to buy another? No, I don't plan to buy another of the small batch. I think this one's shown me what I need to know. I will enjoy this bottle. I will share this bottle. We'll have a good time. Otherwise, not going to go back to it. Not going to be something that I think about after it's gone. Not going to be something that I think about after this glass is gone even. It's just here. It's delightful. And then I'll move on to something else. So that gives my thoughts there on the Frank August bourbon. Once again, this one was the small batch. I know there are single barrels out there and some finished products that go for even more. This is specifically the small batch. Very, very sexy bottle. Great marketing. Caught me hook, line, and sinker. And then the juice inside, I will just unapologetically drink it, share it, and be done with it in a few weeks. And then that will be that. So that gives my thoughts on the Frank August. If you've had it before, let me know what you think of it in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you for the next whiskey review. Goodbye, everybody.